Welcome to Revenue Rehab, your one-stop destination for collective solutions to the biggest challenges faced by marketing leaders today. Now head on over to the couch, make yourself comfortable, and get ready to change the way you approach revenue. Leading your recovery is modern marketer, author, speaker, and Chief Operating Officer at Tegrita, Brandi Starr.
Hello, and welcome to another episode of Revenue Rehab. I am your host, Brandi Starr, and we have another amazing episode for you today. I am joined by Lillian Pierson. Lillian is a global authority on AI-driven growth and fractional CMO for high-growth tech brands. She is the author of The Data and AI Imperative, The Blueprint for Scaling Success, and her strategic data-driven approach has empowered 10% of the Fortune 100 companies and countless startups to deliver predictable, measurable revenue results. Welcome to Revenue Rehab. Your session begins now.
Thank you so much for having me on, Brandi. I'm excited for our conversation and all of the nooks and crannies we get to explore with your audience.
Yes, I'm excited to have you. And I know you are over in Thailand, so you are probably the guest that is coming to us from the furthest, which is really, really exciting. So before we dive into our topic, I like to break the ice with a little woo-saw moment that I call buzzword banishment. So tell me, what industry buzzword would you like to get rid of forever?
I don't know if it's a buzzword, but it's definitely a prevailing trend across everywhere. A lot of people are branding themselves as AI experts, and I have been working in the data analytics, data science, AI space for over a decade. So I started my business in 2012 exclusively, serving this sector, and trained 2 million workers on how to actually do the programming that's required to build AI and stuff like that. So, and 10 books later, and I still, at this point, when people start saying, I have a new book on data and AI strategy, right? And people come locally and oh, she's an AI expert. And I'm like, actually, please don't, I don't feel that's first of all, I'm not building these solutions. So I don't think, as a person who's not technically in this, that title doesn't resonate with me internally per se, because I know I'm not building those solutions. So I do have expertise, but also there was a whole proliferation after ChatGPT, ChatGPT 4.0, version 4 came out. Everyone and their mother comes, and the whole industry just changed to overnight. And there's 1 million AI experts, and a lot of them have 1 year using ChatGPT, and and so it's it's kind of, honestly, it's also a matter to me of speciation. So maybe they have expertise in applying AI in a certain domain, and so there would be an expert of that domain and an AI-led strategy around that domain. Okay, that's legitimate, but just the industry at large is wow, everyone wants to be calling themselves an AI expert, but a lot of them I don't know. They just jumped in the last minute. And so maybe I can't say if they're experts or not, but it just is a little.
Yeah, I definitely would agree that there are a lot of people that are claiming more expertise than they really have. I do know some people who are extremely savvy, who live and breathe it all day and have for a number of years, and they feel the same way that you do. They hesitate to use the term expert outside of a very small, domain. I'm an expert in this use case or this scenario. But I'd say now that we've gotten that off our chest, tell me what brings you to Revenue Rehab today?
Well, I wanted to come on your show and just speak with you because I know that we've got a bunch of revenue leaders who are listening, and fundamentally, I think each and every revenue leader is looking for more efficient ways to grow their business. And for me, I can speak on how to use data and analytics and AI to for marketing led growth in a more efficient way. So less man hours, less faster, higher quality outputs sort of thing. So I thought that would be a really great topic we could explore together. And one of the things that I wanted to make sure that I left your audience with was some insights into AI agents in marketing, because it's especially for revenue leaders, it's really important what's happening for there to be awareness and adoption for revenue leaders, especially.
Okay. Yeah. And I think that's a great place for us to start because, the term AI agent is something that has, come up. I mean, it's been really prevalent, but I'd say in the past few months, I have heard it more. And there's a lot of, heads of marketing, heads of revenue that they're still just figuring out some of the basics. Like, you talked about ChatGPT. They're just getting their feet wet in using ChatGPT for some small basic use case. And then people start talking about AI agents and it's like, what is that? What do we do? So I'm going to ask a very basic question for the noobs. So what is an AI agent?
Okay, an AI agent is an autonomous piece of software. So you could think of like a robot. If you had a robot in real life and it was cooking your breakfast, it has agency because it can act autonomously and make its own decisions in a series of events. It can guide itself through a series of transactions. So we have also AI agents in digital work. So it's basically a self-governing system where it's got intelligence that's guiding. It's got its own intelligence that's guiding each of its operations, and that's powerful, yes. And I'd love to explore that deeper with you because there's different types of architectures we can use with AI agents. But something that's really remarkable is what I've seen happening with multi-agent systems, multi-AI agent systems. And I think that the multi-AI agent systems is where the rubber hits the road. I mean, I'm running them in my business. I can tell you the story behind that, and I'm blown away.
Okay. I was going to say, well, now I got to hear the story. So, because I do think that understanding like what this could look like helps all of us who are less familiar with these types of technologies to start to see what not only the future could look like, but the now. So talk a bit about how you are leveraging the multi-agent systems in, especially around increasing efficiency, optimizing what you're doing. I'd love to hear your story.
Sure. Yeah, of course. So the backstory on this is I was doing an interview for my own YouTube channel for Madhukar Kumar. He is the CMO of Single Store, which is a Series D vector database vendor, essentially. So he's in Silicon Valley, and he knows everything cutting edge, right? Because he's out there leading these things. And the interview was on multi-agents. Systems, multi-agent AI in marketing. Okay, great topic. I was working with my team to put this thing together, and I'm like, it's just taking, because we don't have our process. Normally I get handed off, but right now our process, we're just in this phase where we need to recreate process. I'm like, this is just like so much. I'm publishing a YouTube blog series on AI agents and marketing, how it creates efficiency. And I'm like, this is like overwhelming amount of work. This is so much work to get this out there. Why don't I start looking for multi-agent AI systems to help me do this? Because that only makes sense, right? So born out of the distress of just like as much the amount of man hours and just like tedious details that goes into producing an interview like the one we're having, actually, I started searching, and I found the solution within 10 minutes, I would say. And it's not for YouTubes and podcasts, although they're out there, but I found a system that, okay, the use case sounds lame because this is not new. So it does SEO blogs. It does SEO blogs. Okay, so I say that sounds lame because this isn't new. There's been SEO blogs, AI generated SEO blogs for a long time. Applications that generate, content, like that's everyone and their mother has been doing that, right? So I actually have not been doing that too much because I worried about like the penalization, like by Google, and didn't capture brand voice, and the quality was low. Like overall, compared to what you would add if you were giving your own expert opinion in something, it was low. And I just didn't want to go down that pathway, even though I saw a lot of people using AI to like get to blow up their search, their SEO, organic search returns. But this is not that. This is not one of these like SEO, like content writers. Yes, it has that. But I feel like I'm just talking a lot. And like, do you have any questions? You want me to continue with the story?
No, this is helpful. So just recapping, your objective was to figure out how to reduce like the human effort in being able to create these blogs, but you want it to do so in a way that is going to have, quality content. So not just stuff trying to keyword stuff, that's going to have your brand voice. And so is this a system that you acquired? So something you purchased or something that you built?
No, I didn't build it. I purchased it. And yeah, so I was just like the fundamental, I was just looking to adopt AI agents in marketing based on like the interview I just published. I'm like, this just makes sense, like, why don't I look and see what's there? So searching around like 10 minutes, I find this tool. And what this tool, I think that there's probably 20 agents running inside of this tool. And so it takes you from cradle to grave. It takes you through the entire life cycle of like, it does the SEO keyword research. It identifies, it also scans your entire website, and it collects from you all of the like the brand voice things, and then also the caveats of like who you're serving, your ICP, all of that. It collects from you. It gets the stuff off of your website as well. And it used that to like basically guide its decision making for content ideas. It does the SEO keyword research, and then it proposes headlines that are already SEO optimized, right? For you to say yes or no. And I'll share this with you after, but I'm also keeping this secret. Like, this is like one of these things, because I'm good at finding things that don't catch on till like 5 years later and get really big, and writing them out and getting a lot of growth off of them. So, but this is something that's out there. It's easy it took me 10 minutes to find it. Okay. And I'd be willing to share it with your audience if they reach out to me directly or something. But it does the keyword research. It proposes headlines. And then you say yes on the headline. Once you say yes, or you can edit the headline, you can check that the keyword is the right search volume and all of that if you want to, but it's not like needed. And then you just hit run, and it goes and it scrapes 24 different websites. It scrapes the data itself, and it does a full analysis of like the entire topic area. And it basically introduces like one main way of doing things and another main way. There's different types of like, it's got different formats of articles, right? So maybe it's a listicle article, maybe it's a thought leadership post, maybe it's like it's got different blog formats, right? So it will take the topic and suggest, okay, I think that the best format for this blog is this piece. It will scrape all of the sources on the internet that it can find the top sources, and then it will like evaluate one against the other and come up with not just like a blog post about a topic. Like that's like just another thing anyone else has. It produces a full 4,000 word analysis with like key takeaways, not just key takeaways like a summary, but like asking the audience to think, and like bringing up examples of each of the different instances and saying like, how would this work in your business sort of thing. So it does a whole analysis of the topic and takes all of the stuff that I've seen out there and like takes it one step further in terms of like adding value, in terms of like considerations. Like we have multiple considerations here. We can't just go down this path or this path. You need to know all the nuances here. And so if you've considered this, this, and this, you might be wanting to go down this path. So it does all of this in 4,000 words. None of it is like, you cannot see like ChatGPT, those buzzwords and like the, something is crucial. It doesn't like the word crucial. Can that be one of those annoying? No, but like it doesn't read as robotic or ChatGPT generated. It goes and it pulls a YouTube video that is on the topic and inserts it into the so a person can watch a video for more information. It goes and it's got like 30 outbound links to the highest, most credible sources on the topic, so that it's not pulling from any, so it's showing here's the proof and support of this reasoning and here's the data, and also getting the high quality outbound links. It does all the internal links on your website, and then this thing it publishes for you, so you can review it if you want to, or you can change it if you want to, but you can just run it. After the first one, I'm just running this. And then you can like edit it though. I put my own YouTube videos in there, so you can make it your own in whatever way, shape, or form you want. And so yeah, it just and it runs and it updates.
Yeah, so I want to take this example and just dig deeper into how, because I think this is a great picture that you've painted of what these agents can do, and having, so each agent is kind of doing its part, and all together they are able to run and do all of these things. And it
generates the image. It SEO optimizes the image. It publishes everything. And when you look at the SEO optimization tool, what's the score of this? It comes out at like 79 or 80% without touching it.
Okay. And so thinking about, so I think this is a good use case to get those listening to really understand what agents can do for you. And so let's step back from this specific use case and think about like when it comes to data and AI and understanding, or figuring out where organizations may want to try to deploy AI agents or any other form of AI. What do you think they should be thinking about in being able to identify use cases for themselves and really embrace this as a technology?
Okay, so there's always the risk and reward. There's the risk and reward analysis for like adopting any new tool. So in general, I've been slow to adopt any tool like this because I've seen it as risky because you don't want to like not just reputation, because if you create low quality content, it's like spam reputation sort of thing, but also being penalized by Google. So you have to look at like what's inherent in what am I up against? Is this tool going to create a risk for my business in any way, shape, and form? What is that risk? And then what is the payoff? So what am I saving in terms of time and money, and what am I generating in terms of return, like increased return? And then, I mean, I would encourage revenue leaders, business leaders in general, to be exploring every use case. So this is what I could find in 10 minutes. But if someone goes and searches for this tool, they're not going to find it. It's buried under a whole industry of like well-funded startups that are selling something similar but not as good. So I found one tool that actually does this well, and it's only in this one use case, and I haven't had time to go and search for more things. So what I would say is like, one is like actually identifying multi-agent tools that are effective and powerful and finding them, instead of going for like, I don't want to say outdated, but these solutions were built on a different architecture. The things that came out last year are built on like software development, like a huge architecture that's rigid. And these AI agent systems are nimble and can be like, something breaks, it can be fixed very, very quickly. So it's like the ones that had a lot of funding like 2 years ago and stuff, they're like market dominance, and they're the ones you're going to find. But the ones that are like coming out, the AI agent systems, are hard to find, because another consideration is like, I can tell you another story about a different architecture for I guess you could say it's it's agentic marketing, it's AI agents. But startups have ideas, and they maybe have a prototype of something that's working, but then they don't have demonstrated success. And so you don't really want to be a guinea pig. So finding a tool that works. So I would say like test. Like I did one test article on this thing to see what it was. And like, don't go don't get on a bunch of calls with these founders, like you do voice of customer and like understand all their things, and then find out like 5 months later, 6 months later, that what they had in mind was never going to work. You know what I'm saying? So like, just like a lean test. Does it work? Does it work well? What's the payoff if I adopt this? And then proceed from there. Yeah, so that would be another thing, because I haven't found any. I wouldn't say there isn't other cases. Like when you're using ChatGPT to answer questions for ChatGPT and you're running multiple instances, so you're basically, it's not agents because you are the agent. You're basically using one automation to feed the other automation. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah. But it's like, okay, we've been doing that. Like if you're using ChatGPT all the time, you're already kind of doing this. But yeah, so those are the things. I think the hardest thing is the market research.
I think that's a good way to help people who are not familiar with agents to really understand what they are, because and that's a great example where using ChatGPT, we are the agent, essentially.
Right.
And so thinking about what you are doing and what you're inputting and being able to automate that to have it make those decisions and give that feedback and do all of those things, I do think is really valuable. I do want to shift gears a little bit. I know you wrote the book, The Data and AI Imperative. And so tell me a bit about the premise of the book and what does that have for those that are leading revenue teams?
Sure. Yeah. So the premise of the book is that there is a clear and repeatable strategic framework you can adopt for building and designing strategies that drive business growth. So in that book, we talk a lot about marketing-led, like product-led growth and growth marketing, because I'm a CMO. But that's in the first half of the book. And we talk about go-to-market and stuff like this. But the second half of the book is like where I'm basically sharing my strategic framework that I developed. So I've done technical strategy. I've done strategy for 20 years. So I started out of college. I'm an engineer, and I started doing technical strategy first, even before I had graduated. So over those years, I developed a framework and did action data and AI strategies for really like Saudi Aramco. I helped them develop their strategy there, and like many big companies. And as I evolved, I became much more into the marketing and way getting further away from the actual technical aspects. And I just felt like, okay, this is not appropriate. Like, I can share my strategy. I can share the strategic approach I developed over these 20 years to help other people build these type of strategies for low risk, high reward executions, whether that's a project or a program or a product. How do we de-risk and really pick that optimal use case for either achieving a quick win, or if you're a more established business, for driving growth over the long term and integrating multiple strategies at the same time, right? So going into too many details here, essentially what I did was I gave away the keys to the kingdom, because I'm not offering data and AI strategy per se. If it's related to marketing, then if it's related to growth and marketing, then yes, of course, I do data and AI strategy to support that. But every other type of use case, like business, like operations, telecommunications, like factory data and AI strategies to support like factory operations, like even like decision support, like that's more data. That's like for data professionals. So I just said I used to make like $1,000 an hour developing these strategies for these big companies, and I just am not doing that anymore. I don't want to do that anymore. It doesn't feel aligned with. I'm a marketing person, really. So I'm just gonna share with everyone exactly how they could do that for themselves, and I take them step by step in emphatic detail exactly what needs to be done to build these strategies themselves.
Okay. And talking about our challenges is just the first step, and nothing changes if nothing changes. And so in traditional therapy, the therapist gives the client some homework, but here at Revenue Rehab, we like to flip that on its head and ask you to give us some homework. And so for those listening, if what you have said has resonated with them, where should they start? What do you think should be the first action that they should take?
Thank you for asking. And I wanted to, okay, here it is. The homework. Because revenue leaders, you guys have got all the different use cases you need to explore. My little thing was just like one little tidbit. Go to futuretools.io. And it basically will have all the AI tools you can imagine for all the different use cases, and start exploring and looking what's in there, and if they've got tools in there that can support your use case, and then just do some very quick and lean iterative testing to see if this might be something you could start adopting now, because this future tools is where you're going to find these kind of like early movers, AI agents that are actually working, that aren't like overhyped with a bunch of like funding and stuff like that.
I love it. I'm like, now you've given me something to research. I am not familiar with future tools, so I will definitely.
I didn't give you the exact tool I used, but I gave you the stepping stones where you could explore and discover.
Yeah, and I think, honestly, I think that is great because every leader is going to have different pain points that they can leverage to, leverage AI to fill in some of those gaps. And I know sometimes the hardest part is kind of figuring out what's out there because it does grow and evolve so quickly. And so this is a good opportunity to see what's coming, what's out there, to play around, do some tests, see where it may work for you. Well,
Yeah,
Lillian,
there's so much on there.
I have enjoyed our discussion, but that's our time for today. But before we go, tell our audience how they can connect with you, and definitely do the shameless plug for the book.
Oh, I feel like we already did. Okay, yeah. So the best way to get a hold of me would be just like through LinkedIn DMs. I'm Lillian Pierson on LinkedIn, and yeah, and I'm just available. I'm big on DMing, so just send me a DM and we can start a conversation. And then the shameless plug for the book. The book is available on Amazon. It's actually available in Barnes and Noble, so it should be like on your corner, your local corner. It's in all over the world. So it's called Data and AI Imperative: Designing Strategies for Exponential Growth. And if you need to get a hold of me by email, it's lillian@data-mania.com.
Awesome. Well, wherever you are listening or watching this podcast, check the show notes. We will make sure to link to Lillian's LinkedIn as well as to the book. Well, thanks again so much for joining me. I really appreciate you taking the time. It's been really interesting, and I've got some things to research now.
My pleasure. Thank you so much for having me on. I love speaking with you and getting the chance to go in front of your audience, so it's much appreciated.
Awesome. Well, thanks everyone for joining me. I hope you have enjoyed my conversation with Lillian. I can't believe we're at the end. Until next time, bye-bye.
You've been listening to Revenue Rehab with your host, Brandi Starr. Your session is now over, but the learning has just begun. Join our mailing list and catch up on all our shows at revenuerehab.live. We're also on Twitter and Instagram at Revenue Rehab. This concludes this week's session. We'll see you next week.